A rabbit hole is a term used to refer to a bizarre, confusing, or non-sensual situation or environment, typically one from which it's difficult to extract oneself. So today, I'll be explaining a rabbit hole iceberg that I've combined with these 3 iceberg charts. You can check these icebergs in the description of the video. I decided to do this as a little side project for myself, since I do YouTube as a hobby, and I enjoy making videos and editing them as well. I know this video is not the typical video I would make on this channel, since this is a gaming channel, but I've seen so many videos on YouTube that I find it really fun to research and talk about these rabbit holes, and I always wanted to make a video on this. An iceberg chart is a chart with multiple layers, with the top layer being well-known stuff like facts, theories, or knowledge of a topic, while the deep layers with the facts, theories, and knowledge become more mysterious, creepy, and sometimes disturbing. This video is inspired by Parallel Pipes, and y'all should watch his videos because they're really well made, so check out his channel, even though I have under 100 subs. But anyway, I will talk about the entries that I find interesting, but some of you guys will probably already know these entries or learn some new ones. I also combined 3 iceberg charts for this video, and they'll be posted on the description if you want to check these for yourself. I will be using some Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild footage for this to fill up the video to line up the mood a bit, since later down the iceberg is going to get really weird. With every entry, I'm going to give a little short summary, since every entry you can make on this iceberg can be a video on its own. This is going to be a 2-part series, with part 2 coming out whenever I have the time to work on a new video. Also, some entries on this iceberg I can barely describe, because, well, you know, YouTube. So I'm going to describe these topics to the best of my ability, and be careful with my wording. But let's get started to the video. Medieval torture devices. Some methods of torture that were used during the medieval times were just insane. Some things that people would do during this time were showcase the victim to a whole audience like it was a play. One of these devices that a lot of people know about is called the rack. You've probably seen it in movies and TV. One other device, which I think is pretty disheartening, is called the wheel, where the victim is tied to the wheel and will be stretched out against the wheel. Will be spinning around, and sometimes it would have people beat on the victim with a batter or a top of flames. There are others I would like to include on this video, but you know how YouTube feels about certain topics. Another example though is called the cage rat, where a hungry rat is in a cage that is tied to the person's stomach. So the only way out for the rat to escape is through the person's stomach. You guys probably saw this within HBO's Game of Thrones.
Which of the villagers aided them?
I don't know.
Who? Who?
I never saw.
Who?
I never saw. Please stop. Please. It started to.
Who?
I didn't see anyone help him. Take it off. Take it off.
Who helped him?
Gaines, the butcher, and his son.
That's better. You've been very helpful.
No, stop, please. What are you doing? Please stop. Please stop. No. I told you everything. No.
Fake speedruns. First, let me explain what a speedrun is, even though most of you already do. But for the people who don't, a speedrun is when you try to beat the game the fastest way possible, through glitches, exploits, or tricks that you can do in the game. Speedrunning has a huge community among gamers out there, and most people speedrun Super Mario 64, Breath of the Wild, and Minecraft, and so on. This is a competitive scene, and the reason why people do this is to get the best record and time. Mostly for the pride and the accomplishment of doing something that gamers like me find very cool. In which case, there are many cases where people have cheated to get the world record or the highest record. In one case, there was a speedrunner who was speedrunning Super Mario 64, and he started doing the blindfolded runs, because he found the scene very cool to no more speedrunning, so he did streams on doing the blindfolded speedrunning, until the YouTuber by the name of Charlie Brown 64 saw something within Super Fast Jellyfish's runs. You can clearly see Super Fast Jellyfish cheating within his blindfolded speedruns. And in Charlie Brown's 64 video, he analyzes the whole run and gives out really good detail. You can very much tell that the guy is cheating. I mean, there's like moments within this run where you can literally see him seeing through the blindfold. The thing is, within Super Mario 64 blindfolded speedrunning, you have to have really good hand memory and would have to listen to sound cues to tell where you're going. While this guy does do some of these strats, you can very much tell it is cheating. Y'all should check out Charlie Brown 64's video because he explains this run very well, more than I can. Tool-assisted speedruns. Tool-assisted speedruns, or TAS, is a speedrun from a process of code, I think, where a bot performs the game with specific inputs to create or find out about possible speedrun strats. But the catch is, it only makes it theoretically. So it's possible to do these strats, but the thing is, you have to be 100% perfect with your inputs and timing. In summary, speedrunners strive to beat the game as fast as humanly possible. TAS tries to beat the game as fast as theoretically possible. One example of TAS is within Super Mario Sunshine speedrunning. Within Super Mario Sunshine speedrunning with TAS, there is these specific inputs and timing that is incredibly difficult to do with human hands. I probably explained this entry really badly. My fault. Creepypastas. I love talking about this. The definition of a creepypasta is a horror-related legend which has been shared around the internet. The term creepypasta is used to associate anything with internet horror content. The stories spread around kids and teens, but these stories are not real. They are totally fictional. Some examples of creepypastas I personally like are Smile Dog, Ben Drowned, Siren Head, and of course the famous one, Slenderman. The origin of creepypasta that people believe is from Ted's caving page. I'll give you a brief summary of the story. Ted started an Agefire page in 2001 about a caving journal where he describes him and his friend named Brad exploring a cave close to their home. They later find a strange hole within the cave in which they explored further. The blog has Ted and Brad encounter strange, unnatural wind and some screaming. The blog ends in May 19, 2001, where a post is posted after 3 months after exploring the cave, where the explorers experience nightmares and hallucinations. So the explorers decide to visit this cave one more final time for closure with a gun and a knife, and Ted says he will update the blog immediately after exploring. But still to this day, the website and blog hasn't been updated. Creepypastas have gained a cult following amongst horror fans like me, so it's kinda nice to see a big community have a love for a topic that involves horror. SCP Foundation. The SCP Foundation is inspired by the creation of creepypastas, which is what we talked about before, which is a fictional secret organization that secures, contains, and protects. Within the Foundation, there's things called anomalies, but are classified as SCPs. So the Foundation is responsible for capturing and containing anomalies that science can't explain, so their existence stays hidden from the public. Some SCPs I would like to explain that are in the Foundation, like the popular ones like SCP-173, where this creature that just stays still, but once you move or blink, 173 comes closer to you and then breaks your neck. Another one is SCP-096. 096 is a creature that is very tall and white, and it hides its face from people because the creature is horrified by its own face. But if you see the face of 096, the creature tracks you down and then kills you. There's this huge meme within the community that there's this one picture that contains SCP-096, but it's only 4 pixels. Within the picture, once you see it, well, you're screwed. I suggest this one game called SCP Containment Breach on PC. It's a pretty good game to play with friends, honestly. Doom can run on anything. Doom is a famous PC game that was released on December 10th, 1993, and has a huge fan base. So thanks to ID Software releasing Doom source code back in 1997, just 4 years after the game's explosive debut, fans have spent the last 20 years creating what are called source ports of the shooter that's both extended the game in countless ways and lets you play on practically anything. For instance, you can play Doom on an ATM, Moody Potatoes, and an Apple Watch. But I think the most famous one that got people's attention is the pregnancy test one. So yeah, you can practically play Doom on anything. Minecraft missing versions. I know everybody knows about Minecraft because of the recent updates and it's just a modern game now. But there are some versions of Minecraft that have never been archived. And there's literally just this one lost version of Minecraft where it changes the glass texture to this. In Minecraft. In Minecraft is a huge meme format where the catchphrase is spoken as a way to clarify a statement as not relating to the real world. It's basically another way of saying hypothetically. This phrase is often associated with a controversial statement or alarming message. This trend started within 4chan where a guy says, "This makes me want to turn hatred into a LARP," in Minecraft of course. So it's basically saying something illegal that you're not going to do. This trend is very popular among people on Twitter and Reddit, to a point where a guy who did an in Minecraft joke by the name of Richard Golden got arrested on March 24th, 2023 because he posted a joke on 4chan and someone reported the guy to the police, which led to his arrest. Blue Hell. Blue Hell is referring to a place in video games where you encounter a glitch within a wall or a building that you basically explore out of bounds. So in areas of these games, it's just a blue blank space of nothing. These got popular towards GTA games like GTA San Andreas and 5, where it's just a phenomenon that gives a sense of horror. Silva Gunner. Silva Gunner is a YouTube channel that contains video game soundtracks. But the thing is, the videos on Silva Gunner's channel that post these video game soundtracks are always altered in some way. Like in some, there's mixed with a meme sound or a popular song, and some would have multiple songs playing at the same time. and I think it's an art channel of some sorts, but a great channel overall. But what's weird about it is that there's this other channel called Give Us Sunner who just posts legitimately video game soundtracks. Later in 2020 though, the channel got targeted for copyright because its uses of Nintendo music, so the channel got deleted with all the music in it. A liminal space and backrooms. To define a liminal space, Google states that liminal spaces are empty or abandoned places that appear eerie, forlorn, and often surreal. The uncertain translation where you've been and where you're going, physically, emotionally, or metaphorically. Personally, when I see liminal space photos, they give a sense of emotion of comfort and nostalgia in some way. But recently, within the internet, people have started to make these liminal space photos with a horror aspect to them. Like with the backrooms. With this photo being an empty office space, and a creative artist named Kane Pixels have created a Backrooms web series on his channel. Y'all should check it out. Kane has also made other horror creations that fit in with the translation of where you're going, physically and emotionally. The Room, Tommy Wiseau. The Room is a movie that was released on June 27, 2003, written and directed by Tommy Wiseau. The Room is an example of how a movie proves that it's so bad that it's good. The weird thing is, no one knows who Tommy Wiseau is. Like, people don't even know how he got the movie for this film. And some people have theories, like there's one going around of him winning a huge card game. Another one is like how he got ran over by a huge celebrity, and that celebrity gave him money to keep quiet about it. It's just a weird thing to dive into, I guess. Rosemary Kennedy. Rosemary Kennedy was a member of the Kennedy family, and was JFK's younger sister. In her life, she had experienced mood swings and seizures. The Kennedy family were having problems with her in the family, so their dad authorized her to get a lobotomy to get rid of her mental problems. The thing is that the lobotomy was a huge failure and made her physically disabled. She lost the ability to walk and even talk to her family. So she was stashed out in a school called St. Coletta's School of Exponential Children in Jefferson, Wisconsin. Some of her family members did visit her from time to time, but it was only for a little while. There's videos on YouTube describing this rabbit hole, so I suggest that you guys check them out, because I can only explain it for like a couple sentences. Dashcon. Dashcon was a convention for Tumblr users who were in the community of Tumblr back in the day of 2014. The convention was held back in July 11, 2014, and the event was a huge failure all around. There was poor management, poor vouchers, and the people who were going to perform in this event pulled out at the last second because they weren't going to pay for their hotel rooms. The event only had around 350 people, even though someone came up with a projection of 3,000 to 7,000 people. So with all the poor management and the performers leaving last second, the convention management team vouched 1 free hour at the ball pit. And this is what that ball pit looked like. Here are some photos of people playing within that ball pit. 2016 clown sightings. Back in 2016, there's this huge case of mass hysteria of people reporting clown sightings back in schools, forests, and roads. It turned into a huge case of people dressing up as clowns, trying to scare kids and people just for the heck of it. And there's some videos on YouTube about these clown sightings, but at the same time, they could be fake. Rules of the Internet. Rules of the Internet is a sheet of rules for the internet that was spawned by 4chan. These rules aren't taken seriously, but sometimes they are by a few people. Some of these rules are well known, like the 3rd and 4th rule, that are just a reference to the movie Fight Club if you guys ever watched it. I think my favorite rules within this collection of rules is Rule 72 and Rule 77. Rule 72 being, if a song exists, there's a Megalovania version of it. Rule 34 is the most well-known one, I think, being, if it exists, there's corn of it. If you know, then you know. It's just one of those unfortunate things. I'm sorry, John. There was this post made back on Reddit on October 22nd, 2013, where an artist named Double Baby posted a comic where he made Garfield consume all of John's house and says, "I'm sorry, John, I was hungry," which led to the huge spread of making Garfield into a Lovecraftian creature. If you know H.P. Lovecraft, then you know, but to the ones who don't, he was well known for making cosmic horror and his creatures like Cthulhu. The Lovecraftian Garfield was made into an SCP at one point, which then led to a bigger spread of this concept. Now there are a bunch of artists on the internet who make Garfield into an eldritch creature, and it's really cool to look at people's creations of a lovable lasagna hater turn into this. User/yay video games. Okay, so there's this post on Reddit that says, "What is your favorite Elder Scrolls Oblivion mod?" And there's this user of the name Yay Video Games, which proceeds to say, "The uninstall button. The game is great and all that, but God, is it fully hard to remove all the junk it leaves behind in your system. You really need to check out that mod when the time comes to get rid of it. Otherwise, I think Old Scrolls Oblivion Overhaul is a nice start." Then another user who deleted his account just says, "What?" because it's hard to understand with what Yay Video Game says. So, Yay Video Game says, "The uninstall button. The game is great. Ubisoft goes Steamworks bye-bye, always on DRM. But you oft go work, always work on DR. Check out the junk it leaves behind in you. After this response, Yay Video Game just says different variations of Steamworks goes Steamworks bye-bye, always on DRM, in which he spammed the thread over 4,000 times. After this, Yay Video Game's account got banned and left a huge mystery stain on Reddit. A few years later, a friend of Yay Video Game says he suffered from a condition that was in the way of his mental health, and he had a serious sense of humor, so these two kind of combined, which then led to this. Analog horror. Analog horror is a type of horror on YouTube that is classified by low fidelity graphics and encrypted messages with the 20th century television and analog recordings. One example of this analog horror is the backrooms created by Kane Pixels, which is what we talked about earlier before in this video, where the video takes place within the backrooms, but is in a separate dimension that contains liminal space locations and a monster that stalks you around. All these analog horror videos on YouTube have a really fascinating lore and style to each one, which is really cool, like the FNAF ones and the Watson Files ones. Your Name, the Hedgehog. Okay, since there's so many Sonic OCs out there, if you search up your name next to the hedgehog on Google, there's the Sonic OC with your name. It's kinda weird. Bart Kira. First I have to explain what Akira is. Akira is a popular manga and anime in Japan that influenced a lot of Western culture and animation as a whole, since it's a great film. So there was this fan project of different artists coming together to remake the entire manga of Akira, but with Simpsons characters. People who've read through the whole thing say it's actually pretty good and well made. The Internet Checkpoint. The Internet Checkpoint is about this video posted on YouTube by Tina777, but the original got deleted a while back, but there's this new one that just got uploaded, not too long ago. This video consists of a background and OST from Donkey Kong Country, but the reason it's called the Internet Checkpoint is because of the comment section, where people just share stories from their life and people come together to chat. It's like a huge campfire with a bunch of people coming together and telling their stories. It's really wholesome to see people come together and just vibe. I think this comment best shows what this Internet Checkpoint means and what it means to a lot of people. Leaving my mark here, since I never commented on the original checkpoint. Gonna come back here from time to time and leave updates. This has to be by far the most wholesome video on YouTube. It's amazing to see all these people of different walks of life all stop here to save their games. Glad I made it here before this game gets flooded with hundreds and thousands of comments. Save the game. The reason it's on this iceberg is because this video was only able on your recommended page. Like, if you're going on YouTube and going on your recommended, you can only see this video through your recommended. You couldn't search it up because of the weird title. r/place. r/place is a social experiment where in Reddit, there's this empty canvas of just pure white. But people can come in here and put in one pixel whatever they want and create incredible art pieces for the whole world to see. Within the making of the script, r/place back in 2023 looked like this. And you can look it up and zoom in to see what people have made. Like these cool One Piece creations. It's pretty cool to look at. Also, there was this huge controversy within r/place that took place back in 2023, where Reddit users came together to protest against Spaz with the message that says, "Fuck Spaz," during the final hours of the 2023 experiment. But the reason for this message was referring to the Reddit IPI controversy. GTA radio stations. GTA radio stations are just radio stations within the game that just give out good bangers all around. But the reason it's on this iceberg is because of the talk shows and podcasts within these radio stations. I mean, the talk shows and podcasts are so interesting and are so immersive. Within these talk shows and podcasts, you can listen to a whole rant or a whole argument between two people, and even though it's just voice actors. There's this one clip I found within the radio stations where it's just an ad advertising for weird products.
Food has never been this self-satisfying, featuring organic, natural, fair trade, macrobiotic, sustainably harvested, farm-to-table, goji-infused, antioxidant-rich, 7-grain, 12-grain, whole grain, gluten-free, cruelty-free, vegan, vagina, non-genetically modified, zero-trans fat, free-range foods at prices you simply won't believe. It's that, or are you more of the factory-farmed, genetically altered, hormone-infused, horse meat-infected, slave labor-harvested, agribusiness-supporting, obesity-causing
corrupted blood incidents. Within World of Warcraft, there was this incident that took place during the game, where there was these players who were participating in the boss fight at the end of a raid were given a debuff. This debuff, or status effect you would call it, from the boss, stayed on these players for a long time even though they weren't nowhere near the boss fight or the boss arena. Within a city of World of Warcraft, players gave this debuff and status effect to other players, but here's the thing, it was only when they were near them. Even though this was a software bug, real scientists had to research the game's incident to relate to the real world. And this incident has been compared to the COVID pandemic back in 2020. Malaysia's Airlines Flight 370. Malaysia's Airlines Flight 370 was this plane that was traveling over the South China Sea, and this plane was mysteriously disappeared. Within the 12 crew members and 27 passengers were presumed dead, and no one knows what happened to them. They just lost communication over the South China Sea. They never found the black box. This whole case led to huge speculation to what happened to these people and have created hundreds of theories. But I want to mention this. Within Google Maps, there's this plane in the middle of Cambodian jungle that looks like a Boeing 777, and Malaysian's Flight 370 is a Boeing 777. There is record of communication that took place in the Cambodian airspace, so people believe that this plane within the Cambodian jungle is Malaysian's Air Flight 370. The thing that kind of debunks this theory is that there was debris found within Tanzania, which then led to more speculation because people believe that the government is trying to hide information and is trying to end this whole case. The Dark Side of the Rainbow. The Dark Side of the Rainbow, or The Wizard of Floyd, is a pairing of the 1973 Pink Floyd album Dark Side of the Moon and the 1939 film The Wizard of Oz. The thing is, if you play both the album and the movie at the exact same time, they correspond to each other, and some songs within the album tell what's going on within the scenes of the movie. Both members of Pink Floyd and the people who made the film say that there's no connection between each other and just say that it's a huge coincidence. Both the album and the movie correspond to each other so well that there's this joke created by people where apparently if you're high and play both the album and the song, it's one of the best experiences ever. Dancing Plague. The Dancing Plague is a phenomenon that happened during the 14th and 17th century in mainland Europe, where one person began to dance for endless hours, which led to another person dancing beside them for more hours. And this continued to spread around the whole village and led people flying through exhaustion, and no one knows why. Some people say that this spread of this dancing plague was referring to a witch or like a curse put onto the village. Other reports say that people who were trying to stop dancing just couldn't stop for some reason. This is also a huge case of mass hysteria. The evil farming game. So there was this thread posted on Reddit about a guy trying to find a game that he used to play as a kid, but the thing is, this game sounded pretty disturbing. It's a type of farming game where you killed your wife and would have to hide the body from the police and have to continue farming on your farm. Also, there was this other thread posted within Reddit with the same kind of concept of the evil farming game. And this started people researching for this game because honestly, this game sounds sick to play. Some people came up theories like it could have been an RPG maker game or a flash game or a dream. But there was a lot of theories. Some years later though, it was solved and it wasn't even a game. In 2015, the streamer Vinesauce Joel was playing World Domination and gave out a similar type of description of this evil farming game.
It honestly, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Harvest Moon, but with like corpses. It sounds like that'd be a fun game. Just playing as Harvest Moon, but throughout all of the gameplay, you gotta hide a dead corpse. You know what? You know what? No, fuck. You know what it is? Harvest Moon. It's just regular Harvest Moon with your wife, and midway in the game, you have an argument with your wife, and you accidentally kill her with like a I don't know, like a saw blade. No, fuck it. You kill her with like a barbecue kebab rack. Like you impale her accidentally, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't mean that. And at the same time as you gotta like, you know, you gotta manage your farm, you know, raise your chickens and milk the cows. You also gotta like hide the body from the cops sometimes. From health security checks, and yeah.
Shout out to Colossus, intersecting lines theory. I'm probably going to explain this entry really badly, but I'm going to try my best. So within the fanbase of Shout out to Colossus, there's this huge community trying to find one last big secret within the game, because the game just has so many secrets, and fans want to find the last one. This video made by Jacob Giller on YouTube explains the whole theory better than I could, so go watch that video. I'll leave a link in the description. Final Fantasy House. The Final Fantasy House is one of those true crime stories where a woman named Jennifer Cornett is turning her life and video game fans she met online into an abusive small cult within the characters of Final Fantasy VII. Stuff that happened within the house were kidnapping and a word that I can't say on YouTube, but it rhymes with the word grape. The house had really poor housing conditions and some other things I would like to mention, but they're just foul to mention in this short summary. But check out the Final Fantasy House Down the Rabbit Hole video. It explains the whole situation very clear and very detailed, so check that out. Wikifeet. This is going to be short, but Wikifeet is a website on Google that just showcases celebrities, politicians, and famous people's feet. This site is dedicated to people who have a fetish towards these things. It's really weird. I hate this entry. List of unusual deaths. Within the course of history and mankind, there are records of people dying in strange ways and downright extreme rare conditions. For instance, this guy named Sisyphus, who was killed by a turtle dropped onto his head by a falcon. There are a lot of these, and there are some from recent years. Everywhere at the End of Time. Everywhere at the End of Time is an album made by The Caretaker, where it has 6 stages. In each stage, the music becomes more distorted, echoey, and more ambient. You most likely heard this portion of the song in memes or other YouTube videos out there. The album just uses samples from old ballroom jazz music with noises, and the album is around 6 hours long. And the reason it's on this iceberg is because people have said if you listen to the whole 6 hours of the album, you get to experience dementia and Alzheimer's. You can also listen to the album and have the thought of like, yeah, this is art. Anti-piracy screen games. An anti-piracy screen is a screen bug which shows up when a person pirates a video game. The weird thing is that these piracy screens are mostly fan-made, because most games that don't have them, fans have created anti-piracy screen for them. And these screens are supposed to have a horror aspect to them. Some of these screens look very real and are really cool to look at. I think why these were made was because of scary pop-up screens, like on the PlayStation. If you were to put in a damaged disc in the PlayStation 2, this pop-up message would show up with weird ambient sounds and a creepy red cloud background. I remember getting nightmares from this. Salad Fingers. Salad Fingers is a YouTube web series that features a character named Salad Fingers, created by David Firth. It's about this weird looking green guy that is depressed, and a bunch of YouTubers have analyzed this web series, and it's pretty fun to come up with your own interpretation about the story, because the storytelling is very well written all around, and it's a pretty cool story overall. I have been following this ever since it found its way into a creepypasta, so yeah, check it out. Cicada 3301. Cicada 3301 is a series of online puzzles that were posted on 4chan that are really hard to solve. Right now, people have solved the first 2 and the 3rd puzzle is yet to be solved. Within the wiki, it says the purpose for these puzzles is to recruit highly intelligent individuals for a greater purpose, but that purpose has never been revealed. These puzzles are focused on data security and cryptography, which consist of going into coordinates and answering a phone call to get more hints to a puzzle or a riddle, and so on and so on. People have theories that the reason they are recruiting for people is to make a secret society or organization. Max Headroom Incident. The Max Headroom Incident is a TV hijacking that took place on November 22nd, 1987 in Chicago, Illinois, where an unknown person who was wearing the Max Headroom mask with a contorted metal panel in the background with a loud buzzing sound.
I'll get you a hot drink, miss.
Some dry clothes.
After that hijacking happened, no one really knew what to do, so they just continued on with regular broadcasting. But this time, the people who were responsible hijacked the channel again, but this time, the person with the headroom mask has his pants down and you can see his bare ass, and a woman spanks him with a fly swatter and says, "Bend over, bitch," laughing while the person with the headroom mask says, "They're coming to get me." After all of this happened, no one claimed to be responsible for this incident, and people believe that they just did this for a joke, because I mean, come on, it is. The Lost Media Wiki. The Lost Media Wiki is a website dedicated to finding and researching lost pieces of media, like video games, TV show episodes, and movies. An example for one of these lost media is the Lost Evangelion AIDS PSA ad. The search for this PSA ad started in the DVD commentary of the OG Neon Genesis Evangelion DVD collection.
You do a lot of radio spots, some commercials here and there. Every now and then do a film. And
Guys, I know you and Tiffany have actually ended up doing several radio spots together, oddly enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Done some some interesting ones, as I know.
Yes.
The one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That never made it to air.
Yeah. that was rather interesting. Yeah. It was Shinji and Asuka having sex, basically.
Basically, that's what it was, man.
You know, and the it was for...
It was an AIDS awareness.
It was AIDS awareness, right?
Yeah. It was an interesting spot, and of course they did not like it, so they pulled it. But it's not going on my demo reel.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know.
It was fun. Hey, I got paid. You know?
Exactly, you know, and one of these days it'll surface on the internet. You know
I'm sure it will. I'm sure
they
it will.
always.
The voice actor for Shinji Ikari, Spike Spencer, started describing an ad that he did with the voice actress of Asuka within a radio talk show. Tiffany Grant is the voice actress for Asuka within the show, and when she moved, she found the cassette tape of the ad within an old box and decided to release it to the public. So this is what that PSA ad had.
One of these young people is killing the other. Can you tell which? Neither can we. And neither can they. Because one of these people is HIV positive and doesn't even know it. You know the rest. Sooner or later, both he and she will have AIDS. What you think is the beginning of something beautiful could actually be the beginning of the end. So if you're sexually active, always use a latex condom. Always. And if you've had unprotected sex, get tested. For more information and testing locations, call the City of Houston HIV Info Line. Call 713-794-9020.
Oh, that was fantastic.
That was to die for.
Call. I mean, in the end of the day, it is an AIDS PSA ad, but I mean, come on. It sounds really weird, and it's literally two teenage characters having, you know, that. Evangelion Oasis 07. So there was this guy who bought an Evangelion DVD collection on a yard sale and was going over the menu of the Oasis 07 menu. And for some reason, for a few seconds, there was a small clip of an Asian woman with a bikini appearing on screen, then disappearing. It was later then found that the lady in the video was an actress within adult films, and people have come up with a theory that the manufacturers were working on the Evangelion DVD and this adult film at the same time, and there was some kind of mix-up between these two things. John Teeter. Within the late 2000s, a person went onto some forums with the name of John Teeter and claims that he was a time traveler from the year 2036, was sent back in time to get a computer for the US government, and was searching for the computer named IBM 5100 computer because it had this code of programming. This John Teeter person had predictions for the world that claimed that the United States went to a civil war, and another prediction that in 2015, the world would have World War III, with America and Russia launching nukes to each other, and about 4 billion lives were lost. People asked this John Teeter to post pictures of his time machine, and he responded with these pictures, and said that the machine was attached on the back of a 1996 Chevrolet convertible. So yeah, this is obviously fake. He stopped posting in 2001, and some of his predictions of course never happened. No one really identified who John Teeter was, but there's a bunch of people theorizing and believing that the person who made the John Teeter website is John Teeter. Kanye Quest 3030. Kanye Quest 3030 is a flash game that is just about Kanye West. The story of the game is that Kanye gets teleported to the year 3030 and has to fight clone rappers to destroy the New World Order. It's a joke game basically. This game online is actually pretty good and has gained a cult following among players. Later though, when the game began to have more players, someone found out that there's this NPC that says, "What do you want to do?" If you say ascend, then the game teleports you to a secret area where the game says you are not allowed to say anything about this secret area to anyone, and you would have to take the steps to ascend. When exploring the secret area of the game, you would have to put in passwords, and people found out the passwords through data mining the game, and you would have to answer questions that involved your address, full name, and other personal information. The whole thing is pretty weird. If you put in the information the game was asking you, it was supposed to give you information about ascensionism to your house to ascend further. But the thing is, if you did put your personal information, it did nothing with it. People say that a cult was a part of this game and was recruiting players to join the cult, but in my opinion, I think it's a bad case of an ARG. So that is it for part 1. I know I could have put more entries in this video, but I didn't want to drag out the video to a 1-hour video, so I'm sorry about that. I'll be working on part 2 when this video is released, so don't worry about that. I also have a lot of future ideas for this channel. In the meanwhile, just enjoy my content, because the content I put on this channel is something that I want to put out there, and I love doing these types of videos. If you stuck around for the whole video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I would like to do more videos like this in the future. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye now. Kanye Quest 3030 is a flash game that is about Kanye East. Wait, what the fuck? Within Google Maps, there is a plane in the middle of component. I just said component. So the convention team Vouch for 1 free hour at the ball pit. And this is what that ball pit looked like. I can't just...